Every single human alive today shares one homeland. Around 300,000 years ago, our story began here in Africa. For thousands of years, our ancestors stayed here, but a restless question was forming: what lies beyond that horizon? These were people just like us, curious, clever, and always watching the herds and the changing land for a reason to move on. Climate swung between wet and dry. As food and water grew scarce, surviving meant one thing: follow the food and keep moving. Generation after generation, families drifted a little farther, never a grand journey, just everyday people chasing the next meal. Then, roughly 60,000 years ago, a small group did something new. They walked clear out of Africa and never came back. They crossed near the mouth of the Red Sea into Arabia, the doorway out of our home continent and into the whole wide world. The way out was brutal, endless desert under a punishing sun. Many never made it, but those who did kept pushing east. Many hugged the coastlines instead, a beach highway rich with fish and shellfish, leading them clear across southern Asia. Step by step, beach by beach, they spread east, reaching India, then the lush jungles and islands of Southeast Asia. But then they hit the edge of the land, open ocean. To go on, they had to do something no human ever had: cross the open sea. With nothing but logs, bamboo, and vine, they built the first boats and became the world's very first ocean voyagers. They paddled across miles of open water with no idea what waited ahead, an astonishing leap of courage into the unknown. Around 50,000 years ago, they reached Australia, and the first Australians had crossed an ocean to get there. Other groups turned north and west into Europe, around 45,000 years ago, into a cold, forested land that was already taken. Waiting there were the Neanderthals, strong, intelligent humans who had survived Europe's cold for hundreds of thousands of years. The two peoples met, traded, and even had children together, which is why so many of us still carry a little Neanderthal DNA today. These were not simple brutes. They made fire, art, music, and tools, and passed their hard-won knowledge to their children. Then the planet froze. A great ice age locked the world in cold, and to survive, humans hunted giants like the woolly mammoth. Survival now depended on teamwork, planning, and language, the very skills that would carry us into the harshest places on Earth. They sewed fitted fur clothing, built sturdy shelters and finer tools, inventions that turned a frozen wasteland into a home. Pushing ever eastward, some reached the far tip of Asia, staring across a frozen sea toward a land no human had ever set foot on. The Ice Age held the secret. So much water was frozen into ice that the sea dropped, revealing a vast land bridge, Beringia. Following the herds, they walked across that frozen bridge from Asia into the Americas, a new continent, completely empty of people. As the ice slowly melted, corridors and coastlines opened up, and they poured south into a wild land overflowing with new animals. More than 15,000 years ago, humans spread through the Americas, meeting giant sloths, mammoths, and beasts found nowhere else. And still they did not stop. In just a few thousand years, people traveled the entire length of two enormous continents. They climbed the towering Andes and crossed scorching deserts, adapting their bodies and their ways to every climate on Earth. Until at last, at the windswept tip of South America, they reached the end of the land, nowhere further to walk. Far later, master sailors took on the greatest ocean of all, the Pacific, in canoes guided only by stars, waves, and birds. Just over 1,000 years ago, they found the last specks of land on the planet, and finally every corner held human life. So, how do we know all this? They left a trail, fossil footprints pressed into ancient mud and frozen in time. They left bones, campfires, and stone tools buried in the earth, each one a clue marking exactly where our ancestors once stood. But the clearest map is written inside us all. Our DNA traces every step of this journey, branching back to that one family in Africa. From one small group in Africa, in just 60,000 years, our restless ancestors had reached and lit up the entire planet. Every person on Earth is descended from travelers, restless, brave, endlessly curious people who simply refuse to stop walking. Their journey made us one single far-flung human family, and that incredible voyage across the world is still going on today.